More suggestions proffered and collaborations explored towards ending farmers and herders face-off as stakeholders meet at different fora. Plus, resurgence of fuel queues. Correspondent brings an update. There is more on Panorama today. I am Ogwa Vivian Onyedibia. Thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong in furtherance of his strategic engagement with critical stakeholders towards addressing the volatile security situation in parts of the country as a result of the farmers' headsmen conflicts. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
The unhealthy security situation in neighboring states, Plateau, which used to be the hotbed of conflicts in Nigeria, has not only been insulated, but can now be truly called the home of peace and tourism. What is the secret behind the prevailing peace enterprise? This is what Governor Simon Lalong came to share with President Muhammadu Buhari as the federal government strives to end permanently the recurrent farmers-graziers conflicts.
You take everybody as your own. In Plateau State, I did that because I inherited a protracted crisis in Plateau State. Most of the lingering crises were between farmers and herdsmen. We took 3 months to do consultations, and Plateau people accepted that we must embrace ranching. Even with the Fulanis, everybody accepted. Today, in most parts of Plateau, you see beautiful, good relationship between herdsmen and farmers. This December, when I came back, I learned the Fulanis are moving from one stage to the other, sensitizing their people on the need to embrace ranching.
The Plateau State Governor, who faulted steps being taken by some states in addressing the complex security challenge, described the cattle colonies option being proposed by government as a worthy initiative.
Nobody said the idea of colony is only for Fulani men. It is everybody's business. It's either you are grazing cattle, or you are grazing goats, or you are grazing sheep, or you are grazing pigs, or even chicken. Because the law will protect and restrict the movement of all these animals. It's general livestock. If you see a Fulani man grazing 100 cows, I am definitely sure, go and ask whether he owns those cows. You will find out that he owns maybe 4 or 5. The rest belong to somebody else. Big man. If you see a big farm of more than the 10,000 acres or 5,000 acres, it is not an ordinary farmer. It is big men, we big men. And if we are the ones, we must help the president, we must help the federal government to find ways of addressing these issues. Because agriculture is not ordinary agriculture now. It's a means of diversification. It's means of diversification. And if you have to diversify it, it's serious business for everybody. For everybody, it's not for a tribe. And so if we have to encourage people to do the business, I say that I will not use the word anti for any business.
The governor commends President Muhammadu Buhari for his genuine commitment to national security, stability, and prosperity.
Of course, the president is always happy when he hears that, number one, that your state is peaceful, and 2, that you are paying salaries up to date. For me, salary is no longer an issue in Plateau State. We pay salary up to date.
The planned visit to Plateau State by President Muhammadu Buhari was also discussed at the meeting. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And still on the situation, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, on the directive of President Muhammadu Buhari, has held a meeting with stakeholders in Benue State towards finding lasting solution to the conflict, especially in the wake of the recent crisis that led to the loss of lives in Logo and Guma local government areas of the state. Bem Hanya reports that stakeholders encourage security agents to take more proactive steps to avert future killings.
The meeting between the Inspector General of Police and the people of Benue State is meant to build confidence in the people and also chart the way forward with reference to resolving the unprovoked attacks of communities in the state. The IGP is in the state with some units of the Nigerian police force on the directives of President Muhammadu Buhari to bring the attacks in Benue to an end. Governor Samuel Otom, who presented 6 vehicles to assist the IGP in his assignment, commended the efforts of the federal government since the beginning of the killings in the state and expressed the hope that with the presence of the topmost police officer, peace will be restored to the state.
I still want to report to you again that this militia are camped in Tungwa in Awe local government.
Spokespersons of various groups at the meeting, while acknowledging the additional deployment of security men to the state, said the federal government should provide permanent security presence on the borders of Benue and Nasarawa state. The IGP, Ibrahim Idris, appealed for calm and apologized for the comments credited to him, as he said he was quoted out of context.
We're going to have some area surveillance. By the time we detect some of these areas, we are going to respond appropriately to it. I'm assuring you that.
The meeting that is going on between the Inspector General of Police and the government and people of Benue State has definitely rekindled hope in the minds of the people. What, however, is on the lips of everyone is if this meeting will bring a lasting solution to the perennial attacks on the farming communities in Benue State. In Makudi, Bem Hanya, NTA News.
Well, the Plateau and Kogi state governors have declared their support and willingness to key into the federal government's policy on herders' colony. This was at a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, in Abuja. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
Discussing separately with Plateau and Kogi state governors, Agriculture Minister Audu Ogbe said the policy on cattle colony is not aimed at confiscating land to hand over to herdsmen, but a strategic measure to curb the incessant clashes between herdsmen and farmers. He said federal government will fund the project, while state governors are expected to provide land and encourage citizens to accept the program.
20, 30, 40 ranchers can share the same colony. A ranch is usually owned by an individual or a company, with sometimes very few have more than 200 or 300 cows. In a cattle colony, you could find 10, 20, 30,000 cows.
Both governors, Simon Lalong of Plateau and Yahaya Bello of Kogi State, expressed readiness to key into the project.
After the ranching policy, which we've keyed into, we also heard about the introduction of another one, that is the cattle colony.
We are very confident that with the peaceful coexistence that is existing in Kogi State, we are going to drive it and make it a model that other states and even other countries will come out.
Kogi State is said to be among the major rice-producing states, seeking more support from the Ministry of Agriculture. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliu, NTA News.
Well, joining me now in the studio to discuss recent issues on farmers-herders clashes and government's effort to address them is Professor Olu Ogunshaki, a security expert. You're welcome to Panorama. Now let's start with the recent attacks in communities of Benue and Taraba states and the proposed herders colony. What do you think can be done in the interim to avert these clashes?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I think one thing we need to understand initially is the fact that conflict and tensions are something that is in existence within human race. Now this fact is barely saying that without any doubt, we need to understand how to define the problem itself. So the fact that there is always conflict and tension, that's not the problem. It's the way we react to that conflict and tension. And having said this, when you have this, and you've had conflict and tension since the independence, okay? Yeah. Throughout the post-independence, we've had conflict and tension every decade. So we know this is going to happen. So when we now get to the point that this is happening now and we start shouting that, well, we got to do something about it, we need to have done something about it. And this is issue of governance, not issue of security agencies or the police or the military. If the government has done something about it, then we will not need to be drafting police officers going to these places. It will be normal standard operations. So we need to address the issue rather than start sending police officers to do what the government should have done. The police are not equipped to set up resources. They are not equipped to provide jobs. They are not equipped to deal with climate changes. They are not equipped to do all those things that the government are supposed to be doing.
So are you saying now that this issue should have been dealt with right from the start?
Yes, and more so the fact that you have this issue, it's been staring in our faces, in our eyes from 1960s. And every summertime, every Harmattan season, we have these issues. So this is not something that is new. But what is surprising to me is whenever this issue comes up, everybody is shouting and saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And it's not criminalizing any certain group. This is going to happen, and it's going to happen again until the government take responsibility and deal with the underlying root causes.
So I want to take you back to the question now. What can be done to avert it in the interim?
In the interim, we need to start addressing the issues of unemployment. We need to start addressing the issues of limited resources. Even secondary school students who are students of economics, we understand that you have limited resources and it's evaporating daily. So suddenly you have these dry farmlands that are supposed to be getting bigger, but it's not, you cannot expand on natural resources. So what we need to be doing now is getting people together, because we are already in crisis. And one of the issues I always look at is when you are in crisis, any decision you make during crisis is crisis-led. So people need to understand the issue that this is not the issue of insecurity. It's issue of governance. The security issue will come after. If the government has done the own work, they provided adequate grazing grounds, they provided to the needs of all the citizens without demonizing any particular group, then now, this is going to work.
You're a security expert, and I want to bring you back to the issue of security. Now, we understand that more policemen have been deployed to the areas, you know, border communities between Benue and Nasarawa states. Now, what do we expect of them?
The deployment itself is something that we have to be very happy about. But the fact remains that if something happens in Abia State next week and another happens in perhaps in Kogi State, do you have enough resources to be deploying all over the country? Because the deployment itself is a good idea, but it's a limited, it's almost like it's a band-aid treatment to the issue. It's temporary, because IG is going to come back to Abuja to where it's supposed to be, and then it will continue to manage the Nigerian police force the way it's supposed to be. So you cannot just call somebody and say, okay, there is a crisis here, go there. Tomorrow there's a crisis in Anambra, go there. How many IGs do we have? We only have one IG.
Thank you very much for coming on Panorama and giving us your insight into the situation. I've been speaking with Professor Olu Ogunshaki, a security expert. Moving on now, petrol queues have resurfaced in Abuja, and the fluctuating trend has become a source of concern for regulators and motorists alike. Lydia Sampson, who went round filling stations, reports that panic buying, allegations of sharp practice, and parallel queues compound the situation.
For joining queues vary from one motorist to another. While some say they acted on information and drove to filling stations, others, on the other hand, have their tanks empty.
I have like half tank, but I say, okay, I don't know how this cars will be.
So we really don't know what is the but they are telling us that the government and marketers have not reached a compromise.
We are here to buy diesel.
Most motorists, in a resolve to cut short their stay at filling stations, created parallel lines, and unruly behavior by some others, unfortunately, is further worsening the situation and making the whole process cumbersome. Department of Petroleum Resources say the deployment of their staff to filling stations to check on wholesome practice is still ongoing, and according to their report, there is no need for panic buying.
And I believe with what we are doing and with the continuous supply, people shouldn't panic. We have enough fuel in Abuja and environment. That I can guarantee you, because we have not seen anything that change as far as the supply to the Abuja and environment is concerned.
The NNPC also stressed that its war room is still active and that petrol distribution across the nation has doubled.
Our field work and our intelligence has confirmed is from a supply standpoint, there is product in every part of the country. The challenge we have at the moment is one of pricing.
Key players in the downstream say the situation will be resolved for the benefit of all Nigerians. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
And from Jos, the Plateau state capital, Benue says more than a week into the new year, respite is yet to come the way of motorists in Jos and environs, as most of the independent marketers are not dispensing petrol, while the few operating sell at 250 naira and above.
The present fuel situation in Jos is not far from what was obtainable in previous weeks. The queues are still long. Motorists spend hours and days on the queue, thereby crippling economic activities. Transport fares have been relatively high. For instance, a drop around town has increased from 50 to 100 naira. While most filling stations in Jos have remained closed, the few that are dispensing are still witnessing heavy traffic. The Department of Petroleum Resources Jos Field Office says the reason for the hardship in the state can largely be attributed to the dwindling supply of PMS to the state.
On the average, normally we usually receive about 30 trucks in order to ensure stability.
Despite assurances by the relevant authorities to end the ugly situation, motorists are still wondering when the tide will change for good.
Actually, they've been saying a lot of things, but we've never seen anything tangible to show that something good will come to happen.
There are only few stations that are having fuel. So, do you think we'll get any change soon?
They further plead with the federal government to work the talk, especially in the oil sector. In Jos, then me too. NTA News.
Nigerians have been urged to cooperate with the Buhari administration to ensure the current petrol scarcity across the country, as it is working towards finding a lasting solution to this recurring problem. This is the submission of the Buhari campaign organization at a media briefing in Abuja. Saliu Abdullahi reports.
Which has identified itself with the successes of the Buhari administration in key sectors of the economy, security, and the fight against corruption, attributes the lingering fuel scarcity to what it described as deliberate attempt to distract attention from the good work done so far. The group appeals to Nigerians to keep faith with the government policies, believing that efforts are on to tackle the current fuel and security challenges through relevant processes.
He is fighting corruption. There are a lot of people that enriched themselves through corruption ways, so they will not fold their arms and see him fighting them. They must fight back. But with the praise of all the Nigerians and good wills that we always pray to the president and his administration.
The Buhari campaign organization is one of the political groups that has been championing awareness for good governance in Nigeria. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And when Panorama returns after this break, reports on politics and more. Stay with us.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
If you're just joining us, this is Panorama on the network service of the NTA. The war against Boko Haram insurgency is not over as it demands concerted efforts and support from all stakeholders towards total victory for the troops engaged in the operations. Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Organization, Amina Mohammed, stated this while paying respect to fallen heroes at the Mai Malari military cantonments in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Mohammed Ibrahim reports.
The UN Deputy Secretary General, who led other UN officials, was accompanied by the Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, who is responsible for coordination of humanitarian activities. Amina Mohammed and Zainab Ahmed laid wreaths in honor of those that paid the supreme price at the Mai Malari military cemetery and prayed for the repose of their souls. During a courtesy call on the Theater Command Operation Lafia Dole, UN Resident Humanitarian Coordinator Edward Kalon said the Deputy Secretary General has been monitoring developments in the Northeast and Nigeria in general.
It's an opportunity for us to meet with you so that you can exchange views together on some of the developments as from your perspective.
The UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, and Theater Commander Major General Rogers Nicholas later went into a closed-door meeting to exchange views on humanitarian issues to chart a way forward. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
The Commandant National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Kano Command, Hamza Umar, has described the rise in cases of drug and substance abuse in the state as unfortunate. He was speaking while parading suspected drug pushers who supply drugs to women in their homes. Mariam Bawa reports. Unfortunately, we seem to have audio issues with that report. A federal high court in Abuja has adjourned to the 15th of this month the suit seeking to nullify the election of Abubakar Atiku Bagudu as governor of Kebbi State. Justice Ahmad Ramat Muhammad adjourned the case to enable parties in the suit regularize their court processes. Aliu Tukur tells us more.
Which had in the last 2 years traveled up to the Supreme Court over jurisdictional matters, returned to the Federal High Court based on the orders of the Apex Court. The suit is alleging that Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu of All Progressives Congress committed perjury by lying under oath in the form he submitted to INEC prior to 2015 governorship election, urging the court to nullify the election and confirm Bello Yaki of People's Democratic Party as duly elected governor of the state. The adjournment was filed by counsel to INEC to enable the electoral body file its response following the withdrawal of the second plaintiff, Sahabi Sani Sami. Counsel to the first plaintiff, Tochukwu Maduka, expressed readiness to proceed with the hearing, saying the withdrawal of the second plaintiff is inconsequential. Justice Ahmad Muhammad informed parties in the pre-election matter that he will not sacrifice anything on the altar of speed and therefore adjourned the case to Monday the 15th of this month for hearing. Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
And talking sports now, home-based Super Eagles continue their build-up to the 2018 African Nations Championship in Morocco as 2018 Australian Open draw is made in Melbourne. Dende Sani is our guide on sports update.
Home-based Super Eagles played out a goalless draw with their Cameroonian counterpart in the friendly midweek in Morocco as the coach Salisu Yusuf team continue to prepare for their campaign at the 2018 African Nations Championship with their Group C opener against Rwanda slated for 8:30 p.m. Nigerian time on January 15. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Nationwide League says it is working on securing more sponsorship deals in addition to the media partnership with the Nigerian Television Authority ahead of the 2017-2018 season, which kicks off March 29. Chief Operating Officer of the league, Shola Ogunowo, disclosed this on NTA Sports Breakfast Show Thursday, where he described the inclusion of Nura Mohammed and Sunday Falaye in the Super Eagles squad to CHAN 2018 as a testimony to the abundance of talent in the Nationwide League.
This is a very, very big plus for the Nationwide League, and it goes to tell you that there's nothing like amateur again. There's nothing like amateur again. If you can play football, then you can get to where you want to get to anytime, anywhere.
In tennis, Roger Federer will start his Australian Open title defense against Slovenia's Aljaz Bidini next week, while top seed Rafael Nadal was paired with Dominican Victor Estrella Burgos at the draw Thursday. Women's top seed Simona Halep of Romania faces Australian wildcard Destiny Ayava in the first round, with second seed Caroline Wozniacki starting out against Halep's compatriot Mihaela Bruzanescu. With Sports Update, Dende Sani, NTA News.
And that's our package on Panorama, the last for this week. I am Ogwa Vivian Onyedibia. Thanks for watching.